Breaking news! The Baltimore Ravens made a bold and unexpected move that has everyone talking. After weeks of struggling with their pass defense, the Ravens coaching staff decided to shake things up in a rare NFL move. I'll tell you all the details, but first, make sure you've hit the like button if you've been a Baltimore Ravens fan for over 15 years. If you are, comment like this: "My heart is purple and black." Let's start by talking about the last game. They benched not just one, but both of their starting safeties, Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson. Instead, Kyle Hamilton and Ardarius Washington came into the starting lineup, and the results were impressive. No touchdown passes allowed, a complete turnaround for a secondary that has been a weak point all season. Now let's get to the bottom of what's really going on with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens secondary has been a problem for weeks, with quarterbacks who aren't exactly Patrick Mahomes putting up numbers against them like Pro Bowlers. The Ravens first tried benching Marcus Williams, but the struggles persisted. Then they benched Eddie Jackson, and still no change. Then, in a game as critical as the one against Pittsburgh, they took both players out. And just like that, things started to click. Kyle Hamilton and Ardarius Washington didn't just get on the field, they dominated. Their versatility as defenders played a big part in the Ravens' defensive success. Hamilton, a player who has been praised for his adaptability, was all over the field. Washington, on the other hand, proved he was more than capable of handling the pressure of starting in such a crucial game. His efforts weren't just about numbers. They disrupted Pittsburgh's rhythm, keeping them completely out of the end zone. John Harbaugh confirmed after the game that this wasn't just a one-time experiment. He said the plan was to start these two safeties, and it's looking like this could be the formula going forward. Harbaugh specifically praised their communication and execution on the back end, which had been a glaring issue in past games. For Hamilton, the shift to deep safety allowed him to showcase his natural instincts, while still giving him opportunities to play closer to the line of scrimmage when needed. This adaptability could be a game-changer for the Ravens' defense. But what does this mean for Marcus Williams? Let's not forget he's one of the highest-paid players on the roster, and his signing was a major win for Baltimore just a couple of years ago. However, injuries and inconsistency have plagued his time with the team. Even so, the Ravens didn't let his contract dictate their decisions, a move reminiscent of when the Seattle Seahawks chose Russell Wilson over a higher-paid Matt Flynn, prioritizing performance over payroll. It's a bold strategy, and in this case, it seems to have paid off. Harbaugh also hinted that the Ravens aren't stopping here. In certain packages, they introduced Travion Mullen, a recent acquisition from the Rams. Mullen made his presence felt immediately, breaking up key deep passes from Russell Wilson to George Pickens. This addition could add even more depth and flexibility to the Ravens' secondary as they continue to address their defensive issues. Despite these adjustments, the Steelers' game wasn't without its frustrations. Self-inflicted wounds, penalties, missed field goals, and critical drops once again cost the Ravens a win. It's hard to overlook the fact that Baltimore lost, despite not allowing a single touchdown. The Steelers' only points came from field goals, yet that was enough to edge out the Ravens, who struggled to capitalize on key opportunities. Lamar Jackson, usually so reliable, had his share of misfires, and the predictability of some late-game decisions didn't help.
It's not just about the safeties. Questions linger about Brandon Stephens, a cornerback who's had his struggles this season. While he did make a key pass breakup early in the game, his familiar issues with not turning his head around and failing to make plays on the ball resurfaced. The Ravens have options, including potentially giving more snaps to Mullen or even considering a positional change for Stephens. What's clear is this: the Ravens' defense, while far from perfect, showed serious promise against the Steelers. They didn't allow big plays to run rampant like in previous weeks, and the new lineup at safety provided stability that had been missing. With Monday Night Football looming, this revamped defense will face its next test soon. The question is, will this shakeup continue to deliver results, or was it just a one-game fix? Now it's your turn, Ravens fans. What do you think of these changes? Should Kyle Hamilton and Ardarius Washington remain the starting safeties moving forward? And how about Travion Mullen? Should he get more playing time at corner? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned, because the second part of this discussion will dive deeper into what these moves mean for the team's future and their chances of making a playoff run. Looking ahead, the Ravens face a critical moment in their season. With the AFC North as competitive as ever, every game counts, and their next matchup on Monday Night Football against the Cleveland Browns is shaping up to be a defining test. The adjustments on defense against the Steelers showed promise, but consistency will be the key moving forward. If Kyle Hamilton and Darius Washington remain the starters at safety, they'll face a vastly different challenge against Cleveland's offense, which relies heavily on Nick Chubb and the ground game. How the Ravens adjust to this dynamic will be crucial. But let's circle back to the bigger picture, the future of the Ravens secondary. Marcus Williams' benching wasn't just a short-term decision. It raises questions about his long-term role in Baltimore. His contract, one of the largest given to a safety in franchise history, comes with high expectations. Yet, his struggles to stay healthy and make impactful plays when on the field have led to skepticism. Could this be the beginning of the end for him in Baltimore? Or is this just a bump in the road, with Williams potentially returning to form later this season? Eddie Jackson, meanwhile, finds himself in a similar predicament. Though not as high-profile as Williams, his inconsistent performances have left the door open for younger, hungrier players like Washington to seize the opportunity. The Ravens coaching staff, led by defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, has made it clear that performance, not reputation, will dictate playing time. For Jackson, this means the road back to starting will require not just improvement but a standout showing in practices and any snaps he does get during games. The emergence of Travion Mullen adds another wrinkle to the equation. Against Pittsburgh, his ability to play on an island against speedy receivers stood out. If Mullen could string together more performances like that, he could carve out a significant role in the Ravens' defense, potentially taking snaps away from struggling players like Brandon Stephens. And speaking of Stephens, his situation feels like a ticking clock. While his athleticism and physical tools are undeniable, his inability to consistently make plays on the ball has hurt the Ravens in crucial moments. It wouldn't be surprising to see the coaching staff experiment with moving him to a different position or reducing his snaps altogether. Beyond the secondary, the ripple effect of these defensive changes could extend to the entire team. A more stable pass defense means more opportunities for the pass rush to shine. Players like Justin Matabike and Odefoa have flashed brilliance but need more help from the back end to finish plays. If Hamilton and Washington can continue their strong communication and coverage skills, it could lead to a domino effect of improvement across the defense. Offensively, the Ravens need to address their own shortcomings if they're going to make the most of these defensive improvements. Lamar Jackson had an uncharacteristically off day against the Steelers, missing some throws that could have changed the outcome of the game. Drops from key receivers like Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers didn't help, and the offensive line struggled to keep Jackson clean in the pocket. While the defense can hold opponents to field goals, the offense needs to find ways to convert those stops into points on the board. The Ravens are at a crossroads, and this next stretch of games will define their season. With the division title still in reach, but no room for error, every decision matters. Ravens fans, what are your thoughts on these defensive changes? Are you confident in this revamped secondary, or do you think more adjustments are needed? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to share your predictions for Monday Night Football against Cleveland. Let's keep this conversation going.